Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the Unsorted podcast. My name is Martin Nyanzu. This is a podcast for those who are looking for answers. I am excited today to have Anthony Lamboy join me. He's a father. He's a Christian. He has a wonderful story to share with us on this episode of the Unsettled podcast. This is what I've been calling Finding Faith. Because we believe at Unsettled that faith is a journey. Sometimes we go through many routes, restlessness, to finding faith. Once we find it, we latch onto it. Before we go into our discussion, though, I would like you to know about our Real Answers event. We normally have this on college campuses to train and equip students so that they can be armed to defend their faith. So if you are a campus minister, a pastor, student leader, you can go to our website, liveunsettled.org, and then you can book us. When we come, you would give us a topic we can prepare on and then come and deliver a keynote. Once the keynote is done, your student can ask questions. So that's Real Answers. And then we also have the Measure Up event. That's purposely for local churches so that pastors, youth leaders, ministry leaders can invite us to the local church. We'll come and do a training session equipping your people how to defend the faith and answering contemporary issues graciously. Now let's get back to our discussion. Anthony is a father. He's married. He owns a shop, Stitched in Faith. Did I say it right?
Stitched in Faith.
Stitched in Faith. And he has a wonderful story he's going to share with us on this episode. And I'm so excited. I want to quote from Revelation chapter 12, verse 11. They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. They did not love their lives so as to shrink from death. Anthony, welcome to Unsettled.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I hope you're getting settled. Okay. So Anthony is how do I put it? An ex-gang member.
Right.
Is that the right way to put it?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to have conversation around this. He has a powerful testimony he's going to share with us. And I'm praying that I will learn a lot from his testimony, that you would also learn a lot from his testimony. Anthony, how many kids do you have?
Just had my fourth.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How many years have you been married?
I've been married almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
No, not even a month. A year and a half.
A year and a half, I believe. Okay. Now, what is a gang? If somebody asks what a gang is, how would you explain it or define it?
I can explain what a gang, what I thought it was, and then what it really is. Okay. So where I grew up was, all you had around you were gangs, and it was a lot of fighting. It was a lot of bullying, a lot of things going on in the neighborhood that you gravitated to the tough guys, and they pulled you in and they gave you like a safe haven, and they would guide you to sell drugs or and then tell you you're good, we'll protect you, and that's how they pulled people into the gangs. And so I joined it for a brotherhood, to have people's back, for people to have my back, and so nobody would mess with us. What I ended up realizing what it was is just, it was a lot of older guys pretty much prowling on the younger kids and basically getting us to do their dirty work or just leading them to get into trouble so they won't get in trouble. Or and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people I know that are in gangs and try to get out, and they're actually good men. They're not You know, they're not really bad people. You know, they just, a lot of them get stuck with the wrong people. And, you know, and it's very hard for a lot of people to get out of that life. You know, I was blessed to get out.
Come out.
Right.
We're going to talk about how you came out, the process that brought you out, and all of that. But before that, what are some of the conditions? What prepares the ground for a person to get involved? What are some of the things that you can say, hey, if this is present, that is present, you are definitely going to get into a gang activity?
I mean, a lot plays from where you grew up. You know, I mean, now things are changing because they're making gangs look really cool on TV. They're making gangs look really cool in music videos. So now, man, kids from the suburbs want to be in gangs, you know, but, you know, it's like, it really came from, you know, kids not having anything, just being in poverty and, you know, looking for a way out. So, you know, forming groups and trying to do something, you know, as best as they can. And then, you know, that's how people really get into gangs. They're just looking for a home, pretty much.
Is it because the family is broken, or?
A lot of times it is, or not even that if the family's broken, but maybe the dad's working all day and the mom's working all day and nobody's with the kids, so the kid's on the block and he's with the people on the block, and that's what happens.
So when you say on the block, then you mean like, because there are different types of gangs, right?
Right.
What are some of the different types you can talk about? Because from what you just said, I can pick maybe street gang is one of them.
Well, yeah, like a street gang. There's tons of gangs. I mean, I'm from New York, so out here there's gangs on every block. There's different gangs, so there's gangs all over.
What do they do? What do gangs do? What goes on there? Why is it a gang? Why would someone be involved?
It's a gang because it's a group of people that form together and protect their territory or protect their assets and try to grow their territory and try to grow their assets.
Now, when you say territory, what do they have that they're protecting? Is it territory as in a physical space or something a physical space they think they own? The government gave it to them, or they bought it, or?
I mean, it can go all different ways because there's all different types of gangs. I mean, there's gangs that are broke and there's gangs with money. So there's gangs that actually have buildings and stores, and then there's broke gangs that have just blocks that they think they own, but they're just corner boys. But in all aspects, there's all different types of gangs.
I'm asking this because, in part, some parents will be watching, right?
Right.
And they should have an understanding of what some of these things are, so that they can, help their kids. Are there anything that are markers that when you see, maybe dressing, some kind of talking, the way they talk, the way they walk, are there any characteristics that you can say that if I see this or hear this, if I see someone dressed this way, they're probably in a gang?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't, because even though I'm not in a gang, I still dress in my sweatsuits. I still wear my fitted hats, and some people would judge me, and think that I'm a gang member, or I have a lot of tattoos. So I wouldn't say there's any way that you can look to see. I mean, I don't think that would be a way. But I would just say for like parents that, just watch your kids, like watch what they're doing, watch who they're, around, and pay attention, check on their things, check their phones, check their rooms, I have a teenager that's 17, and we check on him, we check everything, we watch him. He don't know everything we watch, but we watch him. But, just be on top of your kids. You can't really control anyone outside of that, but you can control your kid. And it gets hard, and, and then life is busy, but you have to make time. And you have to see where their head's at, and you have to see who they're around. Because it's easy for a kid to get swallowed up.
Yep, I agree. So what I'm going to do now, we're going to walk through the process.
Okay.
From beginning, during, the time that you are in the gang, and the time that you're getting out of the gang. So when a person gets involved in a gang, the initial process, what goes on? Are there any initiations or any rituals, any formalities? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so every gang has their initiations. You know, some gangs you get beat up in. You know, you got to get jumped by a couple of guys. You got to fight your way. You know, one gang when I was growing up, we had this thing called the elevator ride. So you get in the elevator with like 5 guys, and we ride you up to the top floor and back down, and you got to take a beating the whole way. So there's all different types, and as time went on, there's these new gangs, like they're doing even worse things. Like some initiations would be, you got to go just slice some random person, or you got to cut someone, or you know, do something really, really nasty. You know, but yeah, so there's definitely initiations.
I asked you that because any organization, I think there's some spirituality to gang. Am I right in saying that? If I said that there's some level of spirituality or religion or something to it, would that be a fair thing to say? Or maybe because of my definition of religion, right? Religion is not just a place we go to pray. It's a place we go to find community, affirmation, right? Belongingness. These are markers, things we look for. And then, of course, things we do all the time, repetitively. So if you are in any group and you do certain things over and over, these are rituals. Whether it's praying, whether it's whatever.
Right.
Yeah, rituals. And then if you find that, you also find belongingness and community. If any of these are present, it's a religious organization. So cults.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I guess that.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking it that way.
Yeah,
So my point is, the reason why I'm asking that way is because if somebody goes to the church, you join the church, you give your life to Jesus, we also initiate you. And we do that by baptism. Right. Once you get baptized, you have been initiated into the kingdom of Christ. So if you go to campuses, sororities, fraternities, they do initiations and all of that. I'm bringing that up for everybody to know that there is a reason why groups initiate people. It means that we've accepted you. You're part of us. You've turned your back against the world. Now this is home. Right. You've come home. So when gangs do initiations and all of that, in a sense, it's ritualistic, and it's a way that once you get initiated, leaving that group will be very difficult.
Yes,
very difficult. So now I want you to paint a little picture. Okay, here maybe a bit graphic, not graphic, but detailed. Let me put it that way. Once you come in, a person is initiated. Now you're living a gang life, full-blown gang life. Right. What's a normal day like? A normal week like? A normal month like?
All right, so I had different stages, I would say, in the gang life. There was gang life when we were kids, and, you know, it was a lot of just selling drugs and having fun and partying and hanging out with girls, and, you know, there was that part of it. And then as you got older, you know, this thing started getting real. You know, everyday life now is you got to hold the gun. You got to, you know, while you're selling drugs now, you're watching over your back. You know, if somebody comes on your block, now you get into a shootout, or you got to go retaliate, and you got to, you know, go to somebody else's block and do things, you know, or, you know, and every day you're looking over your shoulder. There's, you know, I've been shot at, you know, I've been stabbed, I've been hit with a bat, you know. So, I mean, it was always a constant, you know, you don't know if you're going to make it. Like, I used to joke with my boys, and we used to be like, yo, you know, bro, if we make it to 24 years old, we made it. You know what I mean? Like, and we used to joke like that, you know, but we were, like, really serious. Like, it was like, if we were happy if we made it to 26.
So so am I hearing that there is some kind of age cutoff that if you get there and beyond,
right,
I mean, you've accomplished something great?
Right, because where I'm from, you know, a lot of kids don't make it past 19, 20.
So is it because, I mean, you know you could die at a certain age, right? But people are still in there. What is that? Why do they stay in knowing that they're definitely going to die?
Okay, so for me, I just felt numb.
Okay.
I didn't really think about it. Like, there was no, like, I felt like the world didn't care about me. I felt like no one really cared. I felt like if I died, nobody would miss me anyway. You know, and I felt like that was just what the life I was given. And, you know, and in my mind, I was like, I'd rather go out like a gangster than go out, you know, like a punk. So.
But how about now? Do you think now, we'll get to that, but how about now? Do you think now if you died, someone would care?
Yes, of course.
Because you have wife
Of course.
and kids?
And I believe back then I was wrong. I believe there was a lot of people that cared about me. I was so sucked in by the streets that, I blocked all that out. And all the hands that were reaching out to me, I pushed them away.
I want us to get closer to your story, right? So now let's get a bit to how you get out. How does a person get out? Can someone get out of the gang by themselves? And how would that look like?
I mean, it's really tough. I mean, it matters what gang you're in. It matters how close you are with the people in the gang. I mean, in my situation, like, a lot of them were my family, or like, really, really close friends, like since little kids. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't really no pushback for me. There was really no, all right, it was more like, oh, he's changing his life. All right. Because like I said, not every gang is bad. Not every gang member is bad. You know what I mean? They are just stuck in that world. And that's a lot of things, that's a lot what I try to do is try to reach out to a lot of them and talk to them about Christ. So for me, it was, it wasn't hard to get out. But there are gangs that once you're in, they don't let you out, and if you try to get out, they might kill you or hurt you or do something to mess up your life or make you pay them even, There's, it's a lot of ways you get trapped.
Now, when you're paying them to get out, is there a ritual to that? Is there something they do before you get out, or you just pay and, okay, hey?
I mean, most of the time, like, if it's a gang like that and they telling you, they're not really going to let you go. I mean, you're going to pay them and they're going to come back. And I'm like, you know what, we need more. Or, and, that's when you reach out and you get help, or you try to find help, or you go, to your loved ones or, whoever it is, and try to reach out to someone. There's a lot of programs. There's a lot of programs in neighborhoods where, there's people that help people try to get out of gangs. Just reach out to them.
I want us to talk about how you left and how your new life began. But before that, my question to you now is, was there any time in your life whilst you were in the gang that maybe you got shot at, you went to jail, something happened to you, and you felt that this is it, I'm going to die here, but you didn't?
I felt like that a lot.
You didn't. And then did you ever feel, you know what, do I need to turn my life around? Or no, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep in here, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of times I felt like I needed a change. Like, I've been getting locked up since I was 16 years old.
How many times have you been to jail?
I've been to jail a lot. That's a lot, yeah. So I don't really know an amount, but a lot. Like, I've been arrested a lot. But, like, I would feel like, something's got to change. Something's got to happen. I got to get out of this mindset. But I would think about that while I'm in jail. But soon as I get out and I'm back on the street, I'm like, man, guys, that was nothing. We good. Let's get back to it. And then it became like a pattern. So it became something like I got used to it. Now it's like I go in, I come back out. And, one thing that really bothers me now is how we glorify people that go to jail. Like, when I came home, like, all the girls were like all over me. Oh, you went to jail, or oh, you got mad respect, bro. You went to jail, and it's like,
because now they see you as a tough guy or something like that, right?
And it's like, why are we glorifying that? Because the guys that are really in there, they don't want to be in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're in there, you're missing sitting on a stoop or something. So it's like, why are we glorifying
the little things you miss?
Right. So, yeah, that's one thing that really bothers me is we should not glorify that. And that's why as a youth leader now, I want to talk to the kids about that. And there's nothing cool about going to jail. There's nothing cool about being in gangs. It's just, I was lucky. I was one that was blessed. There's a lot of guys I know that didn't make it. they're either in jail for the rest of their lives or they're dead.
How did you get out? How did your life turn around? What are the steps that led to your salvation story?
All right, so before I left the street life, I left the gang. I didn't really leave the gang and just become, a Christian and become good. It was, I left the gang because I kind of just wanted to do my own thing, I guess you would say, and mess with all different types of people. And I kind of I lost the gang way. I just wanted to make money now. It was like I didn't want to fight. I just wanted to make money. So I was still in the streets when I left the gang life. Okay. I was still in the streets. I was still hustling. I was doing a lot of things, trying to make money in the streets. And I always thought, even, into my adulthood, like, that was the life. That was my life. And that was it. And I was settled with it until I found Christ.
How did you find Christ?
Okay, so me and my wife, we were, I was a rapper. I was always out in the streets. I was always in the strip clubs all the time, and I was doing drugs. I was drinking, and so I was never home. I was always out. We had a daughter, and then she was gonna leave me. She was telling me she was getting tired. She was getting tired of me being out, and I didn't really care. I was just out. I said, yeah, I'm not gonna do it, and I still would go out and, hit the clubs and be in the street. And then, my daughter ended up talking to us, and she kept saying that she kept seeing this man in her room, and that he's telling her, to tell us that we have to go to church. So, we brushed her off a couple times, and, whatever type of thing. But then she kept saying this guy was coming to talk to her. And then she told me.
How old was she at the time?
She was 4.
4?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was 4 years old. And she was like, then when she told me, God is watching you. That's when I'm like, okay, hold up. And we never spoke about God to her. We never spoke about Jesus. We never, to be honest with you, we laughed at my wife's brother for trying to come speak to us about Jesus. We used to laugh at him. When he used to leave the house, I used to be like, babe, I think he's on drugs. And meanwhile, I'm the one on drugs. So, but when she came to me and she told me that, and, me and my wife were like, okay, you know what? Let's take her to church. We'll go once a month to make her happy. And,
you do your thing.
Right. Until we actually took her one day to an outreach program. And then, we met some people. We met some people there at the church. They invited us to a young adults thing they were having that night. And it was a Saturday night, which was a night that we usually went out and partied and hung out. So I told my wife, I said, I want to go. Something is telling me to go to this thing. And then my wife had plans to go out. She was going to go out with her friends to drink. And then she was like, you know what? If you want to go, then I'll go with you, because I'm trying to see a change, and this might, something. We went that night, and then we went up to the altar that night, and we both felt the Holy Spirit that night. Awesome. I'm sure of that, and that was the beginning. That was, we instantly changed our lives. We stopped drinking. I stopped doing drugs. And we ended up going to church like 3 times a week.
That's a big turnaround.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite scripture, Bible story, passage that comes to mind a lot since you came to Christ? Something that keeps you going?
The story of Paul.
Okay.
It's just his whole life was, I love reading that, and because know that someone could be so lost and so caught on the wrong things, and how God can come and literally turn your life around and use you, that really hits, you know what I mean? Because I never thought that I was anything. You know, I always looked at myself down, or, you know, and yeah, in the streets I acted like I was, you know, but deep down I felt broken, right? So yeah, anything about Paul is like really attracts me.
So now you are a youth leader.
Yes.
So you speak to young people.
Yes.
I'm sure you're using your experiences and all of that.
Yes.
Do you find any fulfillment at all doing that? What are your joys and what are your disappointments? When you speak to young people, they don't listen to you. Hey, you've had your time. Let us also have our time, that kind of stuff. Do you hear stories like that, or you think that these guys are open, they're listening to you, and you find fulfillment that you're giving back to somebody?
I definitely find fulfillment in dealing with the youth. They listen. They you know, they ask questions, you know, and I can see that they're broken. You know, I could look in their eyes and I can see it. You know, and when I tell them my stories, and you know, they could relate. You know, they could relate to me, and you know, and I look them in their faces, so they know that I'm not lying, and I'm not here to sell you a dream or sell you something. You know, because I never tell them that being a Christian is easy. I never tell them that that you're just gonna stop struggling, because you're not. Every day is gonna be a struggle. You know, but I tell them no matter what we struggle with, you're gonna find peace with that. And, you know, and that's the best thing about, you know, having God in your life, is you're always gonna find that peace to deal with whatever gets thrown at you.
So since you got saved, from that time till now, what are some of the major events or things that has happened in your own life up till now?
A lot. I mean, it's been almost 2 years. It's been 2 years almost, and so much happened. I got married, and me and my wife said we were never gonna get married. We ended up getting married. I had another child. And just so much happened. I mean, my work history was I was working in the film industry.
Okay.
And I was like a set decorator, and God put it in my heart when I became a Christian to leave that.
Wow.
Because I was working on a lot of devilish things with devilish artists, and I did one job with Sam Smith, and there was a lot of devil horns everywhere. And that was the job that was like, God was like, it's over.
Was it good money?
It was good money, yeah.
And you gave it up?
I gave it up. I started working for the church, cleaning the church.
Were you being paid?
Very little. And, you know, and it took a lot for me to humble myself to do that. You know, it took a lot of my wife yelling at me and to humble myself. But when I finally did, and I finally gave it to God, you know, as soon as I started working there, he gave me a business, and he gave me a way, and he gave me a road.
So we are actually recording in your shop right now.
Yes, stitched in faith.
That's amazing. Stitched in faith.
In faith, yes.
Can you tell us how you came up with the name?
Well, we came up with Stitched because, you know, basically what we do is embroidery work. That's our main thing. We also do DTG work, but embroidery was our main thing. And then in faith, you know, my wife came up with in faith because that's what, you know, this was brought up in faith. You know, this is to glorify God. You know, everything else comes secondary.
So what you're wearing is an example of your work?
Yes.
The hat also?
Yes, we have a website dropping March 1st.
March 1st, just around the corner.
Yep, couple days.
Just Jesus.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, I want us to wrap up here. Thank you so much for making time to share your story with us. Yes. And I'm praying that, I've been blessed listening to you, right? And because of what I also do, I know a lot of people out there will be blessed hearing your message. It takes confidence, it takes boldness, it takes courage, and knowing that Jesus has turned your life around and you're not going back, to share your story with us. So I'm very excited. I want to give you the last word. If you have to say anything to anybody, what would it be?
Turn to God. Turn to God. any problems, any issues, any doubts, anything you're going through, just find a way to turn to God. If you know someone that believes in God or someone that believes in Jesus, then talk to them. Find God.
That's it.
Right.
Okay, thank you so much, Anthony. I'm excited. I thank God for Anthony's life, and I will be praying for you, your wife and the kids, and your business.
Thank you.
That may God continue to open doors. I'm actually praying that God will use you and your testimony to touch many, many, many lives. Because there are some people you can reach out to that your pastor probably would not be able to. Right? Because of your experience and your background, where you're coming from and all of that. So it's an open door for many people to come into the kingdom that way. So I'll be praying for you. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Unsettled podcast. We believe that life is a journey. Finding faith is the time that we've had together. He has found faith and he's latching onto faith, and we're praying for him. I pray that his story touches your story or somebody that you know. Please remember to join us on all our platforms. Follow us, like our pages, subscribe. We're on YouTube. Just type in Unsettled with Martin Nyanzu and you'll find us. We are on all podcast streaming platforms where you listen to your podcast. Until next time, God bless.